Buongiorno, everyone. Welcome to a special edition podcast with a few special guests here. Some faces that we've seen now and again, some faces we haven't seen in a while. Jody. But that is all soon. But, I thought we'd get together during the international ball break, have a bit of crack about the season so far. Mainly, obviously, as the title of the podcast goes, is Brucey ruining your love for the club? So basically, what we're going to do is just go around and we'll just have a bit of crack really about it. Geordie, start using I'm seeing in a while. So for you that don't know, please do though. Geordie used to be a regular on the fan camp to travel up and down the country all the way from Scotland all the way to Bournemouth. Like, he didn't used to miss a game, did he? Like, all the time he was following the club, no matter what. And then now you don't even bother watching on Sky, dear Geordie. So what's gone on and what's changed your ways? How come you've been from season ticket holder up and down the country from a different country to not even bother watching on Sky?
Oh, is that what we were talking about? I thought we were talking about international football in Scotland, almost about to qualify for a first major tournament.
Not that
Ryan Fraser's injured, so we're not interested.
Oh, yeah. Matt Ritchie come out of retirement for it. But going to your question, I mean, it's quite a funny one. So, as you boys know, I would barely missed a home game. Went to probably 80% of away games every weekend following the club. And the thing which first made me sort of change my ways was Benitez not getting the contract and then Steve Bruce coming in. I mean, that was the kind of catalyst for it. And then just as it's gone on, like watching games, it's just getting worse and worse every week. And it got to the point where I've stopped even caring really about the club. Always, obviously, you want the club to do well, but when games are on pay-per-view, do I want to pay £15 to watch a Steve Bruce team performance? Absolutely not. So the games that I have watched this season, like I'd probably say I've seen about 6 of them. It's absolutely no different from the very first game that Bruce took over. There's absolutely no progression in the team. There's no direction that the club's heading in. It's literally the same thing again and again. And that same thing is something that's absolutely horrendous. It just makes you not want to watch it. And to be honest, like when I gave up my ticket, I didn't think I would ever be in a position where I'd say I wouldn't miss the football. It was always, my whole life was centred around going to the Newcastle game, going down to Newcastle Saturday morning, beers on the train, meet the boys, pints before, pints afterwards, great weekend. Now, it's a case where I'm actually like, will I even bother getting a season ticket again when Ashley goes? Am I bothered about going to the games? Might go to the odd one here and there, but there's absolutely no motivation from it. The club's absolutely sucked the passion out of me and it's all down to the performances on the pitch. Like if you watch that game on Friday night against Southampton, not one Newcastle fan can watch that and say, "Oh, I was thinking we were going to get something out of it. We looked like we were going to be dangerous, and I enjoyed maybe that spell of the game." There's absolutely nothing to talk about that we done well in that game. Absolutely horrendous from start to finish. My internet cut out after I was watching it on Sky Go. My internet cut out after about 20 minutes. I didn't even bother fixing it. I just went and put something on the TV, and then ended up second half. I stuck it back on to see if it had changed, and it hadn't. And then I just turned it off after the second goal that they scored. And literally, you could get any Steve Bruce performance, and it's all the exact same as that. Sitting with about like 30% possession, absolutely no attacking threat, no direction, and even the change, like from when we had Benitez, a lot of people said Benitez was really negative. There's a difference there between his style and Bruce's, and Bruce's is sit in and if we get the ball, lump up and see what happens, whereas Benitez is, you knew on the counter-attack, they would sit in and be quite defensive. But when we got the ball, we looked like we had ideas. We knew what to do with Perez, Rondon, and so on. But with Bruce, there's absolutely no idea of what to do. Players doing their own thing, players on different wavelengths, stuff like that. You can see that they've not worked on anything. And it's just, it's no fun.
So you mentioned obviously the turning point was Rafa not getting his contract signed. Do you reckon he'd still be going now then? Even with Ashley there, do you reckon he'd still be going to games if Rafa was still there?
Absolutely, because we wouldn't be playing as bad as we are now. It's easy to look at the points on the board and get kind of a false sort of image of what's been happening. But the performances last season didn't justify our performances in the table. If you look at even the teams that got relegated, like they were more exciting to watch than us. Problem was they were conceding 4 or 5 goals and we would only concede 1 or 2. But if Benitez was there, I firmly believe that the club would be in a different place in terms of how we were playing. In the table, no, probably wouldn't be different, but it'd be more exciting to watch. It'd be more kind of energy and support in the club. Whereas now we're literally seeing the team sitting back and doing nothing. I've seen a stat which just absolutely summed it up. So Newcastle, in terms of possession this season, I think they've got the second lowest in the Premier League in our games, but yet we've made, I think it's like the third or fourth lowest amount of tackles in the league. So we're not having the ball, but we're not even tackling the opposition. Like, fair enough, they've got the ball and you're getting stuck into them, but we're not doing that. And it's just absolutely brutal to watch. Like, I can't believe it would be this bad under any other manager. And if we're playing well, if the manager has been supported by the board, and Benitez wanted a project of the club, that's what he spoke about. If he'd got that and invested in the youth academy, which is what he wanted, bring in players that he wanted, we'd probably see a different team. Because we know that he didn't want Joe Linton. That was purely Mike Ashley or whoever behind the scenes, bringing him in. If Benitez had control and could do his own thing, the club would be in a much better place. I firmly believe that. I don't think there's anyone that would say any different. So, yeah, if he'd stayed, then, yeah, I wouldn't have got rid of my season ticket. But 100% now, it's the right choice looking back at it.
We'll come back to that in a bit. They're not bringing big ups. Similar story, to be honest, mate. I mean, coming from London for midweek games up to St James's Park for around the country to watch the tune, and then now the same. You're messaging me saying, I won't be on a fan camp today. I'm falling asleep during the game. That's how bad it's getting, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you sharing the same thoughts there about, Bruce taking away what you care for the club?
You know what it is, yeah? Mine started as well. Like, mine started last season as well, because obviously the season before that, when we had Rafa, it's a midweek games when you lot weren't on coming down to sort of south of England. I was there. Do you get me? Like the Wolves away, or just the games, that people wouldn't go to. I'll be there. Do you get me? The away games, innit? But so last season, I just thought to myself, you know what, like, I ain't doing this. Like the only game I'm gonna go to is West Ham away, because that's probably down the road from me, literally. So I can do that, innit? But yeah, man, it's now gotten to the point where, and I don't even think it's age or whatnot, because obviously Newcastle, they're the actual loves of my life, innit? So it's not age, or it's not something about losing sort of my touch for football, because I still watch football. I watch a lot of football, but it's more about just, like Geordie said, like, why would I want to watch that? Why do I want to watch my team, just sit back? Because every team I've watched so far in the Prem this season, they have a game plan. Fulham, Burnley, all these teams, they have a plan and they have a way of playing. Their manager, because I watched Burnley against Spurs, at home. I think they lost 1-0. Son scored. They were in the game throughout. Like, they were, sitting back, defensive. One, they don't have the quality. Two, they're defensive, but still they're a threat going forward, and they have their way of playing. But Newcastle, it's like we don't even have a clue out of what we're doing. This new formation, I hate it. I absolutely despise this new formation. It's I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we drew to Wolves. Because I feel like Wolves on that day, they were poor, so we got lucky with that formation. It's weird because we've got Miggy with Hendricks and with, I don't know, either Longstaff or somebody else playing centre mid. And because we're so deep, right, and what Bruce doesn't realise is, because we're so deep, right, you can't do that formation because our wing backs can't even get forward because we're so deep, and that's how we play. So it's like the whole purpose of that formation is to have the wing backs, but it's doing the opposite. And because obviously Hendricks isn't a out and out centre mid, or neither is Miggy. One pass and they're in. And that was happening probably 10 times in the first half on Friday. And I just think to myself, like us fans, like it's sad because why us? Because we've been through so much, and if it's not the manager, it's the owner. Because obviously under Rafa, we had the coach there, but not the players, and the owner was shit. Now we have the players, but now we don't have the manager for the players. So it's like, when are we ever gonna sort of meet in the middle and just be like, you know what, this is us, we're sort of okay now, as a club and as fans, we can start to look forward. And it just got to a point where I'm just like to myself, you know what, I'm not gonna pay money to come from London, travel up the country, whatever, pay travel, the tickets, my time, take off leave, annual leave, all these things, just to watch us wait. And basically, it's a battle of how long can we go until we don't concede, and then it's next thing is, can we smash and grab a point or 3 points? That's all it is. Literally, that's all it is. The game against West Ham, the first game of the season, I feel like you can't really count that because it's the sort of first game of the season. The players are up for it, and it's I don't know. It's a sort of different feeling, but as the games have gone on, we've slowly seen that Steve Bruce has not got a clue. And I've been vocal about Bruce since last season, innit? But a lot of people were saying to me, listen, I'll give him time, or stop being negative, man, But now I'm happy to see that a lot of people now are sort of seeing these things, because his time is gone. Like, he's like the Big Sams, or what's that guy's name? Like, or just like those managers who are now in the lower leagues, or the sort of lower part of the Championship or League One. That's his level right now, because his time has gone, and now there's newer managers who are
Ian
like
Holloway.
Ian, thank you very much, Ian Holloway. Listen,
Yeah,
that's actually who I thought about, because that's his people, them, innit? Do you get me? But
I think that's disrespecting Ian Holloway. That like Ian Holloway used to play Irish football. Blackpool, Tangerine Dream.
But like, do you get me?
Plus, Ian Holloway's funny if you watch his interview, whereas if you watch a Bruce interview, it puts you to sleep as well.
Bruce is just like, everyone to your papers, please, isn't it? Like, fuck.
Yeah, for real, man. So it's like, with all that in mind, I'm not gonna invest my energy, my emotions, my money into this football. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it because there's nothing better to do. Friday night, we're indoors in lockdown, so it's like, just watch it. But that game on Friday night, first half, I just said no. I'm gonna turn it off, because like, I can't come on here and talk about something that I didn't watch, because I didn't watch the second half because it was that bad. And I'm not surprised that we lost 2-0, because from the minute goal, they were all over us. We couldn't even get a touch on the ball. So it's like to myself, like, I'm not down for that. So I'm just biding my time. I'm grateful that we're in the Prem. Honestly, I am, because we could still be in the Championship or in League One. So I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to still be in the Prem and complain about these things whilst in the Prem. But at the same time, I'm just like, bruv, like, it's Newcastle. Do you get me? Like, we should be literally. I mean, we should be like Leicester. Do you get me? Like, that's how we should be. Like, or not even Wolves, Leicester and Everton. Like, that's where we should be. That club that's that each year they're gonna sort of challenge for top 6 or top 8 each year in, year out. But yeah, here we are. Yeah, man.
So you mentioned the formation, and Geordie mentioned it as well. Like, we'll go so defensive, yet we don't really play defensive. And like what Geordie said, getting tackles in, we just sit so deep, let teams take shots that way. You mentioned Bugs, the wing backs don't get forward. We all agree that this formation doesn't work. That St. Maximin isn't a striker. That Almiron isn't a centre midfielder. That Jacob Murphy isn't a defender. All these things, like, what the fuck is going on? If us average fans can realise that these players are in a position and it's not working, why is the bloke that's getting paid £2.5 million a year can't realise that?
Mate, the thing is, I don't think any formation works at the moment because it's getting changed every week. And the thing Bruce does, which I absolutely hate, is every time we win a game or play well, he just thinks, right, we'll play the same team next week because they've done well. He doesn't realise teams are different in the Premier League. The same formation that would work against a Man City isn't going to work against Burnley. Mm-hmm. And he sticks with what's worked in the last game. And it's no coincidence. Every game we've won, we've gone on to be absolutely shite in the next game. You think of like win a first game, then get pumped off Brighton. Beat, I can't remember who our second game was, and then Man United pumped us the next game because he just sticks with the same thing. You've got. I don't even know if he's looking at other teams and thinking, no, this is how we beat them. It's just, right, this is my team, out go
no
and
homework, is
do whatever you want.
In the Brighton game.
For real. That's actually a good point, you know. Jordy, you're right there. I don't feel like he's looking at other teams because I've seen, you know, like documentaries here where managers highlight other teams' like weaknesses and where we can exploit. Jordy's right that I personally don't believe that Bruce does that, you know, because we play the same way against every single team. So there's no plan there. And I saw this stat here. We are the highest team to concede the most shots on target. As in that doesn't make sense to me because we're doing 5-3-2. We're sitting back, so we're defensive. So as Jordy said, we're not winning the ball back. We're not on the ball, and we aren't stopping shots. So what are we actually doing? I mean,
conceding goals.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
It really doesn't. Like, it's absolutely mental.
Do you know what the game on Friday night reminded me of? It was like if you ever played football when you were a kid and you played for a team, and every now and then you would play like your under 13s would play against under 14s. And at that age, like a year's difference is massive when you're a kid. And it's just that the under 14s older team, just every time the young ones get the ball, it's just fucking out the road you, right, leave home. That's what it's like. Every time we got the ball, Southampton just fucking submerged us and took the ball back and just said, no, you're not fucking having that. And we just let it happen. Like, we just couldn't play around it. We just humped the ball in the channel. And Wilson, it was literally like a 10 or a 9-0-1 formation at times because it just get humped up to Wilson, who had 3-4 defenders on him.
That's down to Hasselhoff, I think, because obviously he plays at high intensity, he plays the press, doesn't he? He tries to play football the right way, and Brucieball will sit back.
But there's your perfect example of having a good coach. Like, he came into Southampton, done all right at first, got beat 9-0 kind of famously, but stuck to what he wanted to do with the club. He had an idea of, right, this is how my club's going to play. I know what system I want to play. I'm going to bring in players that are going to fit into that. We don't have that. We don't have any sort of identity. We don't have any way that Bruce is saying, right, this is what I want to do, and these are the players that are going to do it. It's just a case of, right, these players, I'll put them in and we can see what happens. There's absolutely no identity, no progression. And the point I made earlier, if you looked at Bruce's first 2 games in charge compared to maybe his last 2, absolutely no difference. Nothing that's developed, nothing that's more encouraging to look at and say, do you know what? We might not be winning as many games, but like we're looking more encouraging in these areas. There's not one area I would look at and say that we're better in just now than versus when we had Rafa. And that's with better players. You look at the attacking players we've got now. Rafa didn't even have a striker. We were playing with Howe until he got Rondon. We had like literally nothing, but we're still scoring goals. Perez was scoring because he was progressing the players that he had. Those players were playing above their level, if you like, because of the coach and the system that they played. They were comfortable in that. And now you've got good players who, if you play the right way, could really hurt teams, but they're just being invalidated by not having a system.
Well, that's it, because like under Rafa, when you first of all would be hard to beat, wouldn't we? And then we got the best out of the defenders. You look at the players now, like Sean Longstaff and Fabian Shaw. Look, they're completely different players. They're not the same players that were there in Rafa.
Yeah, don't get me started on the Longstaff, but I've never been a fan of the guy, and I know I'll probably take criticism for this, but I think he's absolutely hopeless. Like, I genuinely think he's our worst. I would rather have Shelby playing in the middle than him. and I don't see why everyone rates him. I know Jordy Rick will kick off with his Longstaff v Declan Rice campaign, but other than Longstaff's first couple of games when he came in and done well, I don't rate him at all. I don't see him fitting in. And his stats show that. If you look at his stats, he's made less passes past completion than Shelvey or Hayden. And even Hendricks, I think, has got more than him. He's given the ball away more. He's won it back less than any of them. I think other than Hendricks is just the different level of shiteness. But other than that, yeah.
So obviously we are unfortunately stuck with Bruce though, but if you could realistically bring in a replacement who could play good football, who could get the best out of these players, who will work on to make Ashley, can you give us a name first, and then we'll come at you, Jordy, then Ubbs is going to be back in a minute. He's in this cut out.
Realistically, I haven't got a name. Like, depending on who the owner is, I think that's the main point. Like, we can sit here and criticise Steve Bruce all we want, but at the end of the day, it was a Mike Ashley appointment. He's happy with him. He knows who he's got. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it's my theory that Ashley had a plan with Bruce. I think he was fully aware that last season there was a very good chance we could have got relegated. So I think he was kind of looking to the future and already appointing a championship manager to get we back promoted. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but that's why I think Bruce isn't going anywhere. Like, we could be in the bottom three, we could get relegated, and it's my belief that Steve Bruce would still have a job. So all these Bruce out campaigns and stuff, all the protests, the hashtags and stuff, like, it's great. Like, we want to voice our opinion. We want everyone to know that we're not happy with it, but it's a fucking massive waste of time, in my opinion. Like, so if Bruce did walk or got sacked or whatever, if it's still Mike Ashley at the helm, he'd be replaced by someone similar, if not worse. Like, you're talking like I don't know, probably a Pardew or someone along them levels, Alan Kirbishley and Ian Holloway. Someone, mate. I'm not even joking though. Like, it will be that kind. Like, I would love to kind of get like a diamond in the rough, like a Graham Potter. Like, kind of came out of nowhere. I think the name would be a bit underwhelming, but after seeing what he's done, after giving a chance to, and like showing the kind of football that he's been playing at Brighton, I'd like to give a chance to, or like a young foreign manager, maybe someone's number two, like a Rui Faria, someone like that. But I think, yeah, under Mike Ashley, it would just be another very, very underwhelming performance. So I'm not going to give you a name, but I just know it would just be as bad, if not worse.
Uggs, the question was, realistically, under Mike Ashley, which manager could you pick to come in and get the best out of these players?
You know what? There's only one guy for me, and under Mike Ashley, and who fits Mike Ashley's sort of, I don't know, vision or whatever. And I think it's going to be Eddie Howe. Because he's English for one, and he knows how to get the best out of players, I believe. Bournemouth, I just felt like they just run out of steam, and he just needed a sort of different project, innit? And I feel like Newcastle for him is the next level up, because at a point he was even tipped for the England job. So I think I'll be happy with Eddie Howe, because as in after Bruce, and if you're going to take it into account, no takeover and all the other stuff, Eddie Howe for me, because he's shown at Bournemouth as well that he's able to attack, but at the same time his teams, they sort of always conceded goals, isn't it? So I mean, there's two ways there, but we have the players who are used to defending. So I mean, it could be a matter of a thing of where the players can also help him out and tell him, listen, like, you know, where shipping goes, let's work together in defending, but at the same time, you can direct us on how to be more attacking. So I think Eddie Howe for me, but there's other managers out there in the Championship that can do a better job than Steve Bruce. So yeah, man, but literally anybody but Steve Bruce at this point. Somebody young, somebody with new ideas, somebody who understands the modern game.
Not a dinosaur with no tactics.
Yeah. So, and I feel like we're just sort of suffering at the minute because obviously Steve Bruce is like a PS3, and the they've just brought out this new one. Do you get me? So it's like that's actually what we're working with. Like we are playing FIFA 20 on PlayStation 3, whereas other clubs have the sort of banging TV and whatever. We're just they're stuck in the old days. So it's tough. It's tough, isn't it? But yeah, Eddie Howe for me still.
When was it Steve Bruce got to a Champions League, the FA Cup final? Was it Hull he took to the FA Cup final? Was that like 2010, something like that? So that's
a wee bit after that, I think.
Was it before that? So like that's like his biggest achievement in football, losing an FA Cup final like 10 years ago. That's like the kind of PS3, PS5 resemblance. Like that's it. Like he lost an FA Cup final 10 years ago. That's his biggest achievement in football to date, and he's just gone down and down and down since then to the middle of the championship. Got Sheffield United to about Sheffield Wednesday to about 14th or something. Then there's a Premier League job for you. There's Newcastle. Like, where did that even come from? Like that's just Mike Ashley all over the shop.
Yeah, it is. Like Geordie gives a name.
The only realistic one is Eddie Howe, out of people that are on the market, of names that I can think of. Like, there's a few names. Looking at a manager I'd love to have, and it's just not realistic, is looking at what's going on up here. Steven Gerrard, what he's doing at Rangers. Like, someone like that, because he had an idea when he came into Rangers of how I'm going to get my team to play. And it took a bit of time to get the right players to fit that system. But you look at how they're progressing now, absolutely flying. If you could get someone like that that's got an idea, and I'm not saying Gerrard, because there's no chance he's going to leave Rangers to come to Newcastle if we're being realistic at the moment. But someone that's got that sort of idea, a young manager, maybe someone that's, I don't know, looking abroad, players that have maybe looking at getting into management have maybe started off, and I can't think, because I've not really been following any European football this year, but like Germany's always good for young managers, Spain, Portugal. Looking abroad, something like that would probably be where I would go, but under Mike Ashley that's never going to happen, because they're not going to get the control they want. He's not going to spend money to get them from a club. So really the realistic answer is who's a free agent at the moment, and it's Eddie Howe's the best of that bunch. I don't think he'd be great, but at the same time, if he was a manager, he'd be an upgrade on what we've got. So
Eddie Howe's a good option to have because he's available. Like he hasn't got a job at the minute, unattached, and I know he'd love to get back to the Premier League, so he'd probably jump at the chance. But do you think he'd realistically want to come to Newcastle? Like, I know he was linked to like Arsenal and the England job like a year or so ago. I think big jobs like that's probably gone now after getting relegated. But I just think, like, would he want to come and work for Mike Ashley? Because Mike Ashley's just going to appoint a yes man. Like, that's basically going to be the interview. Will you do whatever I say? Yes, Mike. No, Mike. 3 bags full, Mike. Like, that's basically the interview. Like, will Eddie Howe want to do that? I think Eddie Howe would have more ambition. Like, at least he was getting money. I know he blasted like 30 million on like Jordan Ibe and Dominic Solanke and that. But I just think if any respectable manager would accept the Newcastle job, I'd question them. I was like, why are you taking this job?
Yeah, it depends what else is on the table, because at the moment, look at jobs that could come up. I think Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson, I don't think he's going to stick around too long there.
He'd be dead next year.
Wasn't meaning that, but who knows? Like, he's one that Crystal Palace, I think, eventually will probably want to freshen it up. That would be something that at the moment, under current ownership, that would be more appealing to him, I think. But you look at like jobs, this kind of top teams, top 6, they aren't going to go for Eddie Howe. Your teams around there, Everton, they've got Ancelotti, they're not going to change. Wolves, Espirito Santo, they're never going to get rid of him. So, like, what jobs is he actually going to get? He's not going to get a bigger club probably than Newcastle, or
I agree.
That's probably the best they could get. So, realistically, good.
At the end of the season, I've seen a good connection with Eddie Howe and West Ham. Like, once Howe left Bournemouth, I didn't think David Moyes is going to be a permanent solution. I think he'll sooner or later be gone. They actually done better when he was ill. when he was at home watching the games. Like that was when West Ham were actually doing better than when he was in the grounds. So I thought, I don't think there's a long-term future in David Moyes. I think he's like one of them stepping stone managers, like a Pardew or an Allardyce. You bring them in to avoid relegation, and that's about it. I would think Eddie Howe would be a good option for West Ham.
You know what?
They're similar to us with their owners, aren't they? So
I think Howe will actually relish Newcastle because he's not the same manager. As in his status isn't the same as it was 2-3 years ago, when he was flying high with Bournemouth. Football is a fickle sport. Things change overnight, and the fact that he's been out of football for long is a factor. The fact that he's been relegated with Bournemouth is a factor. So I'm sure even with himself, he will be keen to get back in a job. And Newcastle, listen, don't get it twisted. Just because of Matt Ashley, we're a big club. Do you get me? Like, we are a big club. So I'm pretty certain that he would jump at it because it's an opportunity for him to get back into football and manage a big club. And obviously, he knows what's happening with the ownership and whatnot and what to expect. But at the same time, is he really a manager or is he a coach sort of player? I'm sort of person. So I mean, I do believe he would sort of jump at the opportunity of managing Newcastle, and like Jordy said as well, that all the other teams as well, they have their managers sorted. There's only a few. There's only a few teams, where it can be questions, and we are one of them. And I feel like we are one of the best out of those other options. I would pick Newcastle over Palace all day. So I mean, he's a good option, but like Keggs said as well, that we are talking about him because he's a free agent as well. So there's two sides to it. But like I said before, anybody with a plan is better than Steve Bruce. So that's it really. And what I hate, sorry to sort of go on, but what I hate as well, and because I feel like Steve Bruce is being protected by the media. Because everyone's seeing the points, because everyone's comparing us to the bottom team. So they see Newcastle, they're above Man United. They've won a few games. They're not in trouble, so they're backing him or they ain't calling him out. Do you get me? But they're not seeing what we see, which is how we play. They're just seeing the numbers on the table. They ain't seeing our frustration. They ain't seeing that he's not getting the best out of players. And I feel like if they were to do that, he would have a bit more pressure on himself to actually switch it up. Or even if the fans were there as well, Bruce would know that something's not right. But because these things aren't happening, he's comfortable and he's happy to sort of nick a win every other game or every other 4 games, and that's why we are where we are, because he's not under pressure basically, and we are sort of seeing it right now.
Bruce is so lucky that there's not fans there. I mean, the amount of booze he would be getting, and to be fair, we do need to keep the heat up, because on Sky on Friday night before the Southampton game, they asked Pardew, who was doing the panel on Sky that night before the game, he said, right, they're doing all right on the table, but the performances Newcastle fans are having a bit of a meltdown over it. And Pardew, as you'd expect, stuck up for him, said, this is a results business, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But we do need to keep getting those questions asked, because the stat I put on our Instagram the day where we're bottom of the league for touches in the opposition box. Crystal Palace and Brighton on the last weekend had the most touches in the opposition box out of any team in the Premier League. So you can't tell me there's no reason, when our starting 11, I think, is better than them two sides, why we can't try and play attacking football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real.
He just hasn't got a clue how to set up. It's been like this way for ages. Like, he barely has a plan A, but when plan A.5 breaks down, he's got no plan B. Like, he hasn't got a clue how to do things. If we go 1-0 down, it's just back to the walls, shit, panic stations. And to be fair, 9 times out of 10, we'll actually get a lucky result. Like, we'll scrape a goal in the last minute, and he looks mint. Like, it's a results business. Sometimes the results are coming in. That's why, like, the fickle pundits who just look at results of 10 seconds on match of the day, it probably does look okay. Like, but they're not understanding what we see week in, week out. 90-minute football, shit football, just back to the wall, defending all game, and then coming up with a decent result, and that's what's putting people off. Like Mark Lawrence, what was it? He said, hey, Newcastle fans want to win the Champions League. Are you having a fucking laugh, mate? Like, at the minute, all we want is at least 51% possession and more than 2 shots on target. That's
You know what he said?
I want to win the Champions League. Don't know about you,
but
but I want to win
he's
it.
a dickhead.
League, yeah.
I'll take it.
If we were offered the Champions League, obviously you wouldn't say no, but at the minute, all we're focused on is getting fucking 51% possession and a shot on target.
How many fans do you think, if you ask them, do you want to win the Champions League, how many fans of any club are going to say, no, I don't want that?
Listen, I'm saying right now, no, I don't want that. I want just decent football. Do you get me?
If we got in the Champions League, we'd be fucking embarrassed. We'd be absolutely wiped the floor with.
No knows, man. No knows. So what does Bruce have to do then to win news over?
Resign.
Nice.
Yeah, put in a P45, resign.
Nothing he can do in terms of performances, pick a formation, sign a player, or the potential cup success. Quarterfinals coming up against Brentford in the Carabao Cup.
I think that's a
If
start.
you win the Carabao Cup, would you give him credit?
Absolutely, but he needs to play well to win it. Like, we got to the quarter-final of the FA Cup last year and didn't even have a go at Man City when we got to the quarter-final of it. We've now got a great chance of Carabao Cup with Brentford away, I think we've got in the quarters. But even if we win that, we're not going to play Brentford off the park. Like, I'm not looking forward to that game because they play much better football than us. And I would say they're a better football team than us.
Mm-hmm.
We've got better players that can maybe individually, but if they play the way they can, they'll probably cut through us the way that teams in the Premier League are. So even if we get to the quarterfinal, winning one game's not enough. He needs to play well week in, week out. He needs to bring in entertainment football. Like, we can still have the same amount of points we've got now, but if we're playing good football, fair enough. It's not enough just winning one game. He needs to show that the club is progressing, and I want him to succeed as much as anyone. Like, you want the club to do well, and as much as I hated him being appointed, I wanted him to prove me wrong. But what is it, 18 months he's been in charge, something like that, and we're absolutely no further forward. We've only got to the quarter-final because of the draws. Who are the best team we've played so far? Morecambe, Newport. If we weren't in the quarter-finals after those draws, then something would be seriously wrong. So getting to that tie is not enough. He needs to play good football, and like the Carabao Cup, I want us to do well in that, but just getting through to that tie is not enough. He needs to play good football, and you can't see that coming. Like, if you've been in charge 18 months and you're not doing that, then when are you ever going to turn that round?
I think he needs to just go back to basics. He needs to go back to coaching school, like just learning how to just set up the team. Like, stop playing like 5 at the back week in, week out. It doesn't matter if it's like Man City or Morecambe. Like, you'll play like so defensive and negative. Like, he doesn't do his research into the opposition. We're seeing that at Brighton. He just doesn't do basic things. Like I could do a better job on Champman. Like, he just hasn't got a fucking clue what to do, and that's the frustrating thing. Like, I've seen like Newcastle fans saying like they want Newcastle to lose, like just to make a point, like to try and get Mike Ashley, both Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce out. But I can't agree with that. I can't stick by that. Like, I'm a football fan. I'm competitive by nature. I want Newcastle to win. I don't care who the fuck the manager is. If it's Steve Bruce, I'd rather win games with Steve Bruce than lose games under Pep Guardiola or something like this is football. This is a results business. You want your team to win no matter what. It shouldn't matter who the manager is. You shouldn't want your team to lose for the benefit of another factor. Like, winning is what this business is about. That's why we're fans. We don't go to games and hope to lose. Like, that's a fucking shocking mentality, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Like, going back to what you're saying there, Danny Rose summed it up in his comments after he left. He said he absolutely loved it at Newcastle because he was getting 3-4 days off a week when Bruce was in charge. Like, it just shows they're not training. Yeah, Danny Rose came out and said that, and if they're not training, like that just shows everything that's happening on the pitch is just not being worked on. The same mistakes, the same lack of ideas comes from that. And
did he see the screenshots where someone was DMing? I think it was he called Richie Delart? It's like like they were asking him. Like he read wrote a book or something about Steve Bruce, and someone DM'd him asking like, "What is it true what you said? Like, is it Steve Bruce's training sessions just shit?" And he's like, "I mate, it's literally just get a ball. It's like a PE session. Like there's a ball, go play football. Like, there's no training, like no nothing."
Genuinely, what Richie Delart said when he was playing under Bruce, he says he used to just bring a ball, drop it in the middle of the park, and just say, "There you go, lads." So how worrying is that? You know what I mean? How worrying is that? That's why I say Matthew like playing for him, because you can just do what you want. It's like I'm the supply teacher, isn't it? You look forward to a supply teacher, like, and you just kick back and do whatever the fuck you want. That's what the players are doing. They're probably just going in for 20 minutes. That's it, going on. Wicked.
But how many players can you say in our current team are performing, probably outperforming their ability under Bruce? He's not getting the best of any player. I can't think of a single player that is playing to the level that they probably could. You look at the potential of Almiron, St. Maximum.
Carl Darlow's the only one doing well at the minute.
Yeah,
actually, Darlow and Wilson. That would be it for me.
I was just about to sort of say that as well. Like, I don't believe he's getting the best out of the players, and I don't even believe the players even believe in him. Like, I was looking at when they on Friday night when they had a corner, like I just felt like the players didn't even know what they were doing themselves. Like, as in they didn't know who they were marking, they didn't know anything, and like what Bruce has to do for me personally is nothing, because Bruce can win anything, but because my thing for him is that I don't like him as a person, and I've said it before on here. Yes, I sort of don't know him as a person, but I just don't feel like he has class. From time he's managed, he's managed Aston Villa and Birmingham. He's managed Newcastle and Sunderland. That's a man there that has no class whatsoever. So I don't like him as a person. He can win a cup, which frankly isn't going to happen anyways. But I just feel like the only thing he can do is leave, and I rarely ever feel like this about any other managers, and probably since my whole lifetime supporting Newcastle, this is the second time. The first time being Steve McLaren, and there's a trend there. You know, both of them under Ashley, both of them outdated English managers. So it's like there's nothing for me Steve Bruce can do. And even last year as well, my colleagues at work would ask me, "Oh, but you know, like Bruce is doing quite well for you guys," because I think there was a point where we were sort of, I think we were probably at 10th or 9th or something, and you know they were asking me, you know, so what does he have to do? I said nothing, mate. I think it's like it's not about anything about the football. It's the football as well, but it's also about him as well, as the manager, the person. Just looking at him, how is he a manager, mate? He's fat. Like, I mean, like I'm seeing like sort of the Peps, the Klopp and stuff. Lampard as well. Like, I'm seeing them like playing, Gerrard playing with players, you know, like Zola, like playing with the players and doing things on the pitch. This guy's standing there on the side, not doing anything. How are the players gonna feel inspired? Like, if I'm a player, I would want to see my manager sort of hitting the top bins, thinking, yeah, like, you know, he's better than me, sort of thing. But bro, it's Steve Bruce, man. So I just feel like them coaches, they're outdated, man. Like now it's about having managers who can still play football as well as manage the game as well. And yeah, so there's nothing for me Steve Bruce can do that can change my mind. Absolutely nothing. Because at the end of the day, he was never good enough for the job. So there's nothing that he can do now that can now change my mind and say, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, he's won us the League Cup. That's not gonna happen anyways. So let's even not even sort of use that. And if it happens, cool, you know, whatever. But listen, mate, it ain't gonna happen. So yeah, that's it, man.
I think it says everything.
I think you're great friends for better football team. I think we'll get through. I haven't enjoyed time. See you later. Or it'll be a penalty shootout if we do get through.
I think it tells you everything that he's like. You say he's not getting the best out of his players. I think if there's one player that he should be making a better player. Like if you look at what Duncan Ferguson's done at Everton, making Dominic Calvert-Lewin an absolute beast up front because he was like a skinny little weed beforehand, and now he's like playing like Big Dunk, playing like Shearer, sticking elbows in, scoring goals with his head. He's making a massive difference. So I think if there's one player who Bruce should be making a better player, it's probably Jamal Lascelles, because Steve Bruce back in his day in the early mid-90s was a top-class centre-back and a brilliant captain for Man United, winning Premier Leagues, FA Cups, all of that. But, like, surely he should be kind of looking at him and, like, showing him how he did it. Like, this is what I did in my day. This is why I was such a good captain, a good defender. But Jamal Lascelles is just so hit and miss. Most of the time, he just doesn't pull it out of the bag. Every game or so, he's like, oh, yeah, really good performance from Lascelles. But most of the time, it's very underwhelming and very disappointing because we know how good that he can be. So why is Steve Bruce not being the man to like lift him a bit, like make him a better player? I think if anyone should be, I think Fernandes has done all right under Steve Bruce, to be fair. Shaw's only declined, and Lascelles really should be playing better football.
But what you have to understand is that Fernandes is the sort of defender Steve Bruce wants. Because I heard that he's made the most blocks so far in the league, and I'm not surprised at that because obviously Shaw isn't that sort of player. Shaw's a sort of a footballing defender, whereas Fernandes is those sort of players that's gonna, like, as in, he's not the quickest, he's not the best on the ball, but he's somebody that's going to put his body on the line, and that's what Steve Bruce is looking for. You know, players or defenders, centre backs that's going to do that. That's why he's let go Leon. He's not playing Shaw. Clark, yeah, he's not fit and stuff, but I don't feel like he would get in the team either. So he wants a certain type of player, and that's why sort of we're seeing these sort of players play. And Lascelles as well, he's gone downhill for me, and I've never really rated him anyway, based on how he's on the ball. He's a good leader and a good skipper, but you know, like before, like when he plays, you can feel the difference of him being on the pitch. You know, we sort of concede less, or we win, or he would score. But now he's just sort of like Mings has gone sort of past him. You know, there's so many defenders out there. Konza gone past him. You know, but I feel like that's because of the manager. He's not getting the best out of his players or his squad, and that's what it is, man. And I'm sure under a different manager, Saint Maximin is in that French team easily. He's in that French team easily because 1, he's staying fit, 2, he's staying consistent, and 3, he's playing to his strengths. But under Brucieball, yeah, it's peak, man. Literally, bro, literally.
So Maximin's the biggest frustration for me in this formation. He's like my best player, and he's just getting so isolated. Like the last 3-4 games, he might as well have not even been on the pitch. He's just not involved. Like he's not being creative like we know what he can be when he's out on the wing, attacking fullbacks, showing his pace, picking it up on the halfway line and striving into a lane. Like it's just seen none of that since the Burnley game. Like Sir Maximin's just been half the player that he can be, and it's so frustrating. I hate this formation.
Now, what was frustrating for me now was last night when I was watching Arsenal Villa, how much they're getting out of Grealish. Barkley, who couldn't get a second in football the last couple of years, he looks amazing again. Grealish, Barkley, McGinn in the middle, Watkins up front, Dean Smith as well. Average manager getting, but look at how well he's doing with those players and how much he's kicking them on. And we've got St. Maximin sitting there. He could easily be in that bracket if he had a half decent manager.
Literally, man. Literally.
So, Geordie, if we're allowed to go back to stadiums, say next year, February, March, whatever it may be, will you be going?
Absolutely not. No chance. And by the way, I would absolutely encourage anyone to stay away, because when I gave up my season ticket, I said there's absolutely no way I can stay away. I'm going to do it, but I guarantee I'll be taking it back out in about a year. And it was honestly the best thing I've ever done, because turning up and watching the team play bad, like it just ruins your weekend. And just for my own sort of peace of mind, if you like, sitting at home, they get beat, fine. It doesn't bother me as much. And that's not what supporting your club's all about. But the way Newcastle is at the moment, the way it's been run, I'm enjoying not being in the ground. I'm enjoying not having that decision to make, oh, will I get my ticket back or not? If Steve Bruce is in charge, if it's the way it is just now, Mike Ashley in charge, there's absolutely no way I'll be going back. And to be honest, I'll not miss it one bit. And I'd encourage all those season ticket holders that are saying, oh, right, I want to give up my ticket, but I just can't miss that routine of the match. You 100% can, because my weekends are a million times better since I've stopped going for the games. Yeah, when we win.
Well, you're not thinking Beatties now and that no more.
Oh, yes.
This lockdown
Party's
has
on.
been a blessing that we're not being forced to go to these games, because, you know, me and you, Matty, we'd be going to every game at home, trying to do as many away games as possible. I'm pleased we're not going, because I couldn't be asked with this shit. But I tell you what, when we are allowed to start going back to games again, the fruit and veg sales in Newcastle will be soaring. We'll be keeping the economy afloat. People are getting to buy their cabbages to launch these fucking fathead.
Okay, you're the same then, and I'll chuck this one in as well. He's going to both answer. If the takeover happened, then would that have obviously brought you back a bit of ambition?
Oh, mate. Okay, so the first question, I'm not like Geordie, because obviously I would want to go just for the fun of it. Do you get me? So I wouldn't go up to Newcastle. No, that's not happening, because the tickets are ridiculous. So I'm not going to spend my time and whatever to get up there on the train. But what I may do, and because of, you know, it's been a while, so I would actually go to an away game just to get pissed, literally, like just to fry up, get pissed, and then, you know, have a party for the first half an hour that is 0-0 for. But I mean, it's not ideal. But I mean, if the chance come, I wouldn't see myself saying no. Do you get me? So that's that. But my twin, on the other hand, he's like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to any games where Bruce is. Last year, the main reason why I didn't go to the games was because I ain't going. I'm not really going by myself, innit? And obviously it's me and him. But he's saying, no, fuck that, man. As in, I ain't doing it. So yeah, takeover stuff. If that was to ever go through, are you mad? I'm going to every single game. I would even do whatever it takes, like, to go to every single game, because I know that we're going to see goals. We're going to see something that we ain't seen in a long time. You know, like probably since just maybe that one season we had with Pardew, you know. But we're going to see that on a consistent basis. Hey, listen, I'm there, innit? But as of Steve Bruce, nah, man, it's just more for the vibe of it, like the party of it, really and truly. Party.
Right, nice one, lads. Cheers for joining me. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, boys.
We'll see you again.
No worries. Cheers,
See you
lads.
again next summer. Talk about another season. Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, man.